sister's a therapist and I tell jokes. We both want to help all kinds of folks.
Hello, and welcome to My Sister's a Therapist. This is a podcast between a stand-up comedian and a therapist. I'm the stand-up comedian. My name's Virginia Jones, but my sister's a therapist.
Hello, I'm Laura Ryan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm Virginia's sister.
And this week we have a very special guest, Michelle Bohls. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Michelle Bohls. I really hate giving credentials. It's so lame. I refuse to do it. But I do help people with relational communication. Couples, people who work with couples, business leaders, that kind of stuff.
You've worked very hard for all of these things. Why aren't you proud of them?
I'm very proud of them. I just don't like the listing.
Okay. So this week, maybe I'm at a disadvantage because it's two therapists versus one comedian.
Oh, yeah. You are definitely at a disadvantage.
This is going to be like grudge match, WWE. Two therapists, one comedian.
None shall survive. So this week, as we are welcoming our guest, our topic is kind of brought to the table by Michelle. And this week we are talking about hidden misogyny or internalized misogyny, or like non-obvious ways that the patriarchy affects us in our day-to-day. I kind of have a list working from like least serious to most serious. So my first example is, he's such a good dad.
Oh God, have you seen the lady on TikTok?
So it's just a meme where, and it's a true thing, where if a man picks up his kids from school, babysits his own children, right, makes dinner for his children that are biologically,
but then
later in the day,
we went to the park. We went to the park and somebody said, he's such a good dad. And that's not the song, but
yeah. And I don't want to get too serious, but you did say babysitting. Like he's not babysitting, right? That's how,
it falls into this construct.
Exactly. They're his own children, but I've heard men refer to it as like, oh, I have to babysit the kids. Whose kids? Oh,
you mean the ones that are biologically mine?
Right.
Yes, because it's assumed that men are better than women. And so therefore women's roles, or traditionally women's roles, are inferior.
Right.
And if he's doing it, it's a favor. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that makes him a good dad because he gave you this favor of taking care of his own children.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty much a hero.
A good mom concept? Is there any such thing?
I mean, you've seen Snow White, right?
What are you trying to say there?
I'm saying there's so many good moms represented in our culture, and we just, we love women. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm. I think another fun, like non-obvious patriarchal thing is when you see magazines or videos like, here's some dressing tips. Here's how to look your best at 40, at 50. And basically what it's saying is when you are past your sexual prime, when you are past childbearing age, when you are past when most men want to have sex with you, just cover yourself in a sackcloth and stay out of the light.
Exhibit A. I'm currently wearing a sackcloth.
Laura is dressed as a therapist today, which, as we have discussed, is a loose, flowing cardigan with no clear closure.
Just flapping in the breeze.
Flapping in the breeze. But yeah, this is advice that women sometimes give to each other. We sometimes act like it's valuable, but it's just saying, don't you think it's time to make yourself a little smaller?
Don't you think it's time to cover up your body and maybe look like more of a potato?
So, men don't really want to screw you anymore. So why don't you just hide away? Just hide away. Why don't you just put on a bunch of blankets and hide in a corner coughing? That's really just a bundle of rags.
This is a reference, Sherman Community Players. My mother played a role, and the title was Oliver Twist, and it was Bundle of Rags Emerges from Stage Left.
We bring up the Sherman Community Players a lot more than you would think.
More than you would think. You would think it would be like maybe a casual topic, but I feel like we're probably their biggest supporters right now. Shout out community players.
We are talking them up the much, but like, yeah.
Yeah. The thing that's upsetting to me about this topic is how many women buy it. How many voices I have in my head that say, there's a wrinkle, bullshit, that I have to talk back to myself and say, that's not my voice. That's not going to be my truth. I'm not going to cover myself up. I'm going to shine. And if a man wants to have sex with me, that is not the beginning and end of my existence. And ironically, more do now.
No, right. They feel that energy.
But decentering men, like this is something that I've been working on. And like Virginia and I were talking about it. I had school drop off one day. And when I do school drop off, I'm pretty cash. I wear the pajamas, a bundle of rags. I wear the pajamas. Are
you coughing when you wear your rags?
Yes. Yeah, I need to I wish I had the VHS tape. I'm sure I do somewhere. You have to see the performance. It's chef's kiss. Anyway, it's a lot of coughing. But I was at school drop off and I was wearing my pajamas, as you do, but they're kind of like, maybe could pass as clothes. Also, I've put on quite a few LBs in the last year and a half. So I'm wearing ill-fitting. And I think I actually talked to you about this. But so anyway, I'm walking out of the school and this man is coming towards me, a bald man who's not attractive and whatever, he's got his kid. And I suddenly feel very self-conscious. And I'm just like, oh God, what I'm wearing is weird and doesn't look good. But then I thought, wait a minute, why do I care what a man thinks about my clothes or my body? And that was a very freeing moment. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's my, almost 50 point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's an awesome freedom. And I think there's this, like, when we say decentering men, we're still centering men.
Well, okay. No, we're still talking about men, Michelle. But I think consciously examining this program when we all carry around, I think it is valuable.
I'm just suggesting that it's about centering what we feel good about or our value, and not in opposition to men. That's kind of where it's a step in the right direction, but we're still centering men if we're talking about only men, and we're not thinking about, well, what makes me feel good? Do I feel sexy? Do I want to have sex? Who do I want to have sex with? Like, it's so hard because you're right. These narratives are deep inside my brain.
Right. Don't want to have sex with anyone. I think that's kind of the conclusion I've arrived at. It's like, I'm not interested in being seen sexually. I just want to be a person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
but Michelle, I think those are the same thing. I think we're saying the same thing. Truly.
We are.
Because decentering men means taking a change, what we've always done by default. Right? So a fun way to do a test to see if something is hidden misogyny is you ask yourself, when have I seen an article about how to dress well at 50? They get some guidance when they transition from college to work. This is how you dress as a working man. But after that, it's just the same. Like, there's no you might be getting a little softer. So why don't
do you really think you should be wearing the crop tops at 60?
Don't you think you're getting a little old for skinny jeans? Like, they don't get that narrative.
No. And that's, and I think ultimately that is the problem, right? Like, there's a totally different standard for all things.
So on top of that, the dichotomy, silver fox and cougar, right?
Right.
Cougars are hot.
But silver fox is default hot. Like, he's being given a compliment because he's older, because he's more experienced. It's assumed that he's going to probably date younger. Whereas women who date younger are topic of mockery.
Right. It's like slut shaming.
Right.
Well, and let's unpack a cougar, right? Like, why can't it be an attractive animal? I mean, cougars offense,
are attractive. How dare you?
We've got to reclaim this title.
Yeah.
I'm a cougar. I'll take it.
But I mean, I'm a lemur. I mean, yeah. So there's something extremely suspicious about a woman who does not want to date men who are their age or older. And I think that's the message, right?
And under that, there's this message of there's something suspicious about a woman who's trying to date after 25, period, stop. Because she know she has no value.
As the red pillars often say.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some truth. Like, there's some truth in that. I wouldn't want to date. If I was single again, I don't know if I'd want to be dating. It's really frustrating out there. It's really hard.
Right.
It's also really gross.
Say more. I love your stories. What's the latest one?
Well, I've given up on dating. I'm done. I think I'm just done. But
we put in our time.
Virginia and I are calling it. So what I noticed is the devaluing of me because I'm not different. I mean, I'm older, but like from the age, it's like when I was 34, I remember because I'm old, I was on OkCupid. And I was getting tons of hits, right? Like all of this interest from men, right? And the night I turned 35, it just was a Sahara desert. And like nothing hit. It was the same profile pictures. It was the same languaging. I didn't change anything except my age changed. And like,
and so many men just mindlessly filter like, well, I wouldn't want to date anybody over 35.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so that was one piece. But I also noticed, I mean, Virginia and I have talked about this too, like trying to be on the apps as a fat lady. It's very different from being on the apps as a not so fat lady. Because, you know, I lost 50 pounds a couple years ago and I was suddenly being approached by men who were actually my peers. And prior to that, it had just been like, I remember this one guy, God, he was on every app and he was my biggest fan. He had a tattooed neck. He was missing a majority of his teeth. I mean, bless him. But it wasn't, you know, he worked in a kitchen, which is fine. But like, I have a master's degree. So it just didn't, it was men who
seem like you're not kind of a snob.
I am a snob. I accept that. But also, you know, why do I have to date a guy with no teeth who works in a kitchen? Because I'm older and fat. Like, how does that work?
Right. I don't think you sound like a snob. I think you sound like somebody who's valuing your accomplishments and you want somebody who would understand you. I mean, it'd be hard to have a lot to relate to.
Right. And also, you know, a person like that is not
2 against 1, by the way,
yes,
Virginia.
You lost.
Noted.
But yeah, I think for me, it was like, I like to go on trips to places outside of America. Right. And if you are a dishwasher and you're making probably $7.50 an hour, you can't really afford, but the life I'm accustomed to. Like, I like to go places. I like to travel. I like to go to dinner. I like to not just eat McDonald's all the time. And I want someone who can, you know, join me.
But I think one thing we also talked about when we were both safely out of our marriages and back on the apps is that the dating apps will teach you immediately what your street value is. And it's always a lot lower than you maybe thought.
Oh no.
Yes. You know, you're like, I feel like I'm worth $5,000. And then a day of swiping, you'll find that it's $150.
Yeah. Well, and like, I think another disadvantage for me was that I was in a long-term relationship for most of my youth. So I didn't really date as a young woman and I didn't experience the kind of objectification that I've experienced an older woman. It's very jarring. You know, I think when I was younger, a lot of my male friends were actually trying to date me. And so I just worked with the assumption that, you know, people are just really friendly and they just respect me and like me. And then when I got older, I was like, and I was single, like I basically got thrown out of relationships because I had always been in a relationship. And so when I was divorced, that was really the longest I'd ever been single.
We were talking about this earlier this morning, and it's coming up. Thanksgiving is, for me, the day of like peak difference between men's and women's roles in the home, right? Mm-hmm. Like women carry the day, cooking and cleaning all goddamn day, like making a nice, whether you're hosting, bringing stuff to someone else's house, you have this beautiful meal, you share your blessings, and then the men almost universally feel very privileged to sack out and let women do it's just expected. And I'm sure there's going to be exceptions, but like the level of expectation that this is women's work and that men do nothing, I think is very clear on Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even regular holidays, like we were celebrating something recently and, you know, I was told that I was
somebody's birthday,
possibly mine. And, you know, I was told that I wasn't allowed in the kitchen, but I found that my sister, you know, did everything. And there were able-bodied people all around who didn't. And I wanted to get up and help her. And she said, no, it's your birthday. But I said, yeah, but this is wrong. Why are you doing everything? I don't think that's okay.
I feel a lot of pressure. Like, I am lazy. I might cook because I like to cook.
Yeah.
But then after we eat, I'm like, I'm going to go lay my butt down. I don't care about football. But then I've got like, what's my mother-in-law thinking about me and all this like pressure. I don't do Christmas cards. I'm a terrible girl. I think I lost my card, but I feel the
you're
pressure.
Also a woman, so.
Woman, but I think I feel a lot of pressure, but I don't decorate for Christmas. Like I'm failing and I'm okay with that, but I do feel this pressure, this judgment, and not just from men.
Right.
No, it's absolutely, we are all signing off on it. It's not just men.
As far as the home decor and like shopping and buying gifts, I think a lot of the judgment is coming from other women in your family and women in your social circle. Like, oh, it's sad, really. Oh, I've got a story. I was hosting Christmas and Michelle, I'm much more like you. I am a minimalist. I value time with my family, but I don't value a lot of the other stuff. My sister, who's a therapist, came to my house and said, this isn't going to do as far as a Christmas tree. You need to do better. And I said, okay.
So because I was invited to spend Christmas with my sister, and I arrived to find a plant-sized tree with no ornaments on it.
Right. An artificial tree that I've been dragging out of the closet for the last 10 years and which is doing okay.
I know this story. I think it's called a Charlie Brown Christmas story.
Understood. Any other thoughts on holidays?
I want to add my little bit here, which is that this is really hard on relationships because everybody feels crappy about these gender roles. And it's a whole bunch of blind spots that we have, that men have. And until we like kind of team up and be like, okay, let's create something new. And I think the younger generation's doing a really great job of trying to find like, be gender fluid and take gender out of stuff. But otherwise it's just like, okay, here's how you suck. And that's hard.
Right. Agreed. But it takes so much self-examination from everyone. It takes so much reflection that we don't always have.
Exactly.
Right?
If you could see me right now, you would see how tired I am.
Okay, one more note to add to this expectations thing. Okay, so I think the thing that I experience many times with people, men and women, is you have to acknowledge that a problem exists in order to do better, right? And I find so much of the time that people are, I think, willfully blind. Because it's too hard and too complicated and too weird. I think this happens a lot. I was getting my hair done by a lady who is biracial, and we were just talking about the struggle she's had with her mom because her mom doesn't acknowledge what it's like to live in the world as a biracial person because she has no experience with it. But she's also not checking it out or being curious or trying to find, get herself unignorant. That's not the word, but try.
Unignorated.
I guess my thought is like in all situations, like I saw a TikTok this morning where this woman was talking about how she bought an air pump, like a portable air pump for her car to air up her tires. And her husband was driving her car and he said, remind me to go by the gas station. I need to air up the tires. And she said, well, why would you do that? I bought the portable air pump. And he said, oh, it's just not very convenient. And he's like, why did you buy that anyway? And she said, because when I go to the gas pump, I am very afraid. She's like, I'm bending over, trying to fill up tires. I'm preoccupied and I'm an open target. And it had never occurred to her husband that this might be the case.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast about how dangerous gas stations are. I mean, that's like real. And I think when there's privilege, this we talk about, then what's the incentive to look at the blind spot, except for a relationship that you care about, that you maybe will listen to that individual on a larger scale. It's just, why would somebody look at the power structure when they have more?
Right.
What we can do is look at how we've internalized the messages, the voices in our head, and just try to center ourselves and the relationships that are important to us.
The next thing on my list is romance novels, but I'm using this as a stand-in for kind of women's interests and hobbies. Like romance novels are seen as lesser than and not like real books because women like them. Rom-com, you can have the best made rom-com in the world. It's going to be seen as lesser than because it's something that interests women. Bands and musicians that primarily women like, your Taylor Swifts, your Lizzos, are going to get an extra level of judgment and condescension just because it's girl stuff.
Yes, I am with you. One of my colleagues is doing her PhD on romance novels. She's a sex therapist. Ooh. And romance novels is a legitimate way to stimulate sexual interest, arousal, conversations in relationships. And she helps couples talk about, what's going on in your romance novel and how can we use it in our relationship? Mm-hmm. But there is this assumption that it's not legitimate. It's somehow not legitimate porn.
Right.
But it kind of is.
What do you mean kind of?
It's both.
100% porn.
It's both. That's the thing. It's not just straight sex, it's story too.
Right. Foreplay, it has been said that foreplay is the thing that happens the second after orgasm. So basically for men, remember everything that happens after your partner orgasms is foreplay. And I think it's that idea of that's why I like the idea of a romance novel, because I'm thinking about sex during the day when I'm doing other stuff and I'm, stimulating my thoughts and I'm being kind to people and being nice. That's how many women enjoy relationships and want to have sex and feel closer to their partners. But again, that is not represented in whatever you want to call it. I guess traditional porn. I mean, there's 20 seconds of foreplay before you start ramming things into other things.
A lot of men spit in their hand first, and that's really nice.
It is. It's gentle.
That's true romance.
But yeah,
this is actually one of my frustrations too. We're talking about sex. We are assuming penetrative sex,
right?
And a lot of times when I'm trying to have a conversation with my partner, I'm having to make a distinction, and it pisses him off a little bit because his brain can't really process that. There's a lot more for me because somehow that would be taking away from his role.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just sex has a whole variety of meanings.
Right.
And also we have different anatomies and we have a whole set of different needs and wants and desires that don't line up really a lot of the time.
Right.
Yeah. Having a relationship's the hardest thing I've done.
Noticed that for me as well.
Yeah.
So hard.
Agree.
Again, this is why I'm bowing out. I'm tired. This is what I noticed in my last relationship. I was thinking about it this morning. Home chores, check. He was great at that. Planning trips, planning dinners, check. He had that on lock. Contributing financially, check. He was extremely generous financially. But when it came to his emotional life, his expectation was that I was driving that. And I had to spend all of my time and energy propping him up and making him feel okay and making his emotional life better. And that was exhausting. And I never want to do that again.
Right. And I collude with that. I definitely collude with thinking a lot about his emotional life. What does he need? And how am I? And
it's exhausting. I mean, I really think when I think about all the men that I've dated and been in relationship with, when I string them all together, that's years and years of my life where I was just is he okay? Oh, is he going to be mad? Is he sad? Is this situation okay with him emotionally? Is he going to feel all right? And it's exhausting. Honestly, having a kid has made it so much worse because I have to do that for a kid all day and I don't want to do it for a grown-up all day.
Right. Am I allowed to have needs? Am I allowed to speak up on any of it? I don't think men have sat down and made a chart on how to devalue us and how to overwork us and how to get the most out of us. But when you're in a society where patriarchy is the norm, everything points towards benefiting them.
I just want to add that these little boys, they get this very clear message that boys are better than girls.
Right.
Men are better than women. And then they go to school and they're not the center, but they're being bullied by other little boys who call them names that relate to girls. And so then it goes in really early, like this programming that I have to know all the answers and I can't be wrong and I can't take feedback, especially from a girl, because then I'm less like, it's all this unconscious, deep programming. I'm not clear exactly how I got the message that I was supposed to go along with it, other than that's all I saw. But I still kind of go along with it. And I'm trying really hard to root it out of my brain that like my legs look like legs, you know, and my tummy looks like a tummy and my boobs look like boobs. And I'm more than all those body parts because I also have hands and ears and I'm not about visual candy. Right. But it's programmed so deep in my head.
The body image thing is obviously a whole other thing that Laura and I have talked a lot about and will continue to talk a lot about. But like I did have a moment with a friend of mine. She's a mom. She's a working woman. She's a married lady. She has all this stuff to do, but she's obsessed with her weight every day because that's what she's been taught. And I said to her at some point, I'm like, I've actually walked away from the idea that it's my job to be a size 8, which is good because I can't do that job, right? It's not my purpose on earth to be a tiny, tiny person. It's just not my job.
Well, it's unpaid.
Well, and I end up having to pay for it because who has to get the Weight Watchers app and who has to buy all this specialty food and
even worse job.
Yeah.
So next thing I want to talk about is the meritocracy myth. And this touches a lot of parts of our lives. It touches like definitely people, in the upper class echelons of society have this inborn idea that they are better because they are born better or they deserve more meow, meow, meow. But I think it really hits us in hidden misogyny. I saw a TikTok video where a guy was like, I hear about women like who want to go to women doctors and I don't understand it because like, wouldn't you want the best doctor? And like, of course, that assumed to be male, but like it was a stitch with a woman surgeon. And she said, did you know that actually having a woman surgeon, patients with a woman surgeon of either gender have a better outcome 90 days after a surgery, 6 months after a surgery than people with a male doctor? Like this idea that men are inherently better. And that's an idea that is pervasive through everything. The woman doctor, the woman artist, the woman composer is always a less than.
Well, there's even that thought experiment, right? Where a man and his son they're in an accident and the father dies.
The man and
his
son are in the car accident and the kid needs surgery and the doctor says, I can't operate on this kid. This is my son. How is this possible? Because the doctor was a woman.
Wait, the doctor was a woman? I remember being stumped by it when I first heard it. And I felt horrible.
Yes, I have this shame scar.
Yeah.
I hate that portrayed me that way.
Right. But again, it's baked into culture, right? Like I remember hearing Reese Witherspoon talking about why she started a production company. And she said it was because she was so tired of watching movies where men were deferred to for everything. So there's an action movie and the woman goes, well, Harvey, what do we do next? What's going on? And like, no, women are never solving anything. They're just standing back and allowing men to do everything.
That's not been my life experience.
Me neither. That is actually that is a polar opposite of everything I've experienced as an adult.
So on top of the joke, so I have a tiny anecdote for like, it's about the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, right? And like when you get a job in the orchestra, a lot of times it's for life. Like you're very rarely fired. And so turnover is slow. So for most of the 20th century, there have been no female musicians in the New York Philharmonic or only a couple, like years and years. And then in the 70s, they started hiring 50% women. And over the next couple decades, the Philharmonic became 45% women. And what changed?
I'll tell you, they started doing blind auditions where the person could not see the person. And they also, I remember there was this detail where the women had to take off their shoes because men were discounting them because they could hear that she had a heel on. But yeah, it was because men could not see them, or women also. People couldn't see their bodies.
And like, because if you got any kind of idea that it was a woman, you would get it in your head like, oh, well, she's not quite as good a violin player as that other person, and is not true.
Right. But in this programming, boys are better than girls. I mean, I heard that when I was a little kid.
Right.
I heard that stuff. I heard messages on like Disney movies that girls can't do math. Like, stuff that I was like, really? And kind of believed. And now I'm still unpacking it.
Right. Because it's this constant barrage. It's not just my mom saying it. It's not just my teachers at school saying it. It's television. It's commercials. It's everything. It's just kind of, again, baked into culture. It's just this mess. Like I was taught the most burned cookie was my cookie. Because I had to give it.
So sad. Virginia, are you not crying a little? Like, this is so sad.
Well, Virginia also grew up in the identical home.
So we had two bird cookies, one for each.
Well, we had to share it.
But like mom was eating the burnt cookie. Mom was eating the less
That's
good
where I
food.
learned it. That's where I learned it. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to allow your husband to have the best and then you have whatever's left over.
And then right under that is the fact that she didn't want to eat it anyway, right?
Why didn't she want to eat it anyway?
Because she was chasing this mythological size 8, you know.
Oh, yeah. Well, she shouldn't
whole
eat it.
life.
You shouldn't be even thinking about eating food. Yeah.
I will share with everybody. So my whole life, our mother that we share hated her body, talked about how fat she was.
Why are you referring this in the past tense?
Still does. But what's changed for me is I found out recently, like within the last couple of years, how overweight she was, what the number was. And it was 40 pounds. This woman,
her obesity. Yeah. Like
that's the obesity. I
remember her saying, I was so fat on my wedding day. I was so ashamed. And I was like, how much did you weigh? And it was like 150. And I thought, you are my goal weight, man. It's fat hog on your wedding day is my goal weight.
Right. I will never weigh that. I will never weigh that little. But it just made me angry that she had made her whole life miserable, my life miserable, all of her, especially female children's lives. Some of the boys have a touch of eating disorder, but like you've burned your whole life, all of your energy, all of your intention over the weight of a bag of dog food. Like that doesn't seem worthwhile.
That doesn't seem logically sound.
Okay. So my last couple topics kind of get into dangerous territory, things that make women's lives scary.
Right.
A big part of it is, of course, medical stuff. We've touched on this a little bit because the doctor was a woman. Medicine is tested on male bodies. Drugs are even tested on male mice. Male mice are the standard. Only 10% of medical schools have a class on women's health for general practice. Like if you're not going to be a gyno or an obstetrician, 90% of medical schools do not have a separate class on women's health, which is why they don't know very much. Nearly twice the number of women than men experience adverse drug reactions, possibly because it's not tested on us. Dosing is a problem. Like these are things that are actually dangerous for us because we are less than.
Yeah. I mean, every doctor I've seen, I would say even women, female doctors, but less so because I've started just going to female doctors.
Yes.
But most of my life, I felt like I was describing symptoms and I was being dismissed almost immediately, verbally, non-verbally, like incredibly dismissive environment. And because I grew up that way, I didn't even know what to do about it, right? Most of the time I left the office with whatever I was told to do. And I was like kind of traumatized by just the 5 minutes I spent in there.
Right.
Yeah. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think that's part of it, but it's also that the whole medical structure is not for us. It's for men.
Right.
Men are the default, right? So I know that airplanes are built for men. Like a lot of women were dying because their legs weren't long enough for these flights for Air Force because it was based on a male, height. It's just car seats are not made for women. Like women are killed at a much higher rate because of the strap falls at the wrong place because it's made for a male body.
PPE for women firefighters or women scuba divers, it's made for men. Like a lot of this equipment is like overalls, which is very easy to pee if you have a penis, but a woman has to take off all of her stuff.
All her clothes, yeah.
Body armor, women policemen have been injured and killed because body armor, it does not fit them, is not made for them. Like it can be very serious being the afterthought.
Right.
It's super serious.
It's extremely serious. I mean, if you look at
are we serving drinks after this? Because I'm really depressed.
Michelle thought this was going to be funny.
Yeah, there was a rumor that we were going to laugh, but now I feel like crying.
Again,
welcome to every day of my life.
Michelle Bohls' topic.
Yeah, that's true. You brought this up. You brought it on yourself.
I did.
But like, okay, so speaking to women in the medical world, right, as patients, I have heard this story so many times about women who have extra problems with their periods. So women who have endometriosis and are dismissed for having anxiety or whatever it is. One of my favorite TikToks that's surfacing now is where men have to wear equipment that makes you feel like you're having period cramps. And there was a man this week that I saw who was a nurse, and he said a lot of times women will come in to the ER with endometriosis, basically, who won't be diagnosed with it because they're just crazy and they don't know anything. But, you know, he said he was with a lady, like they were trying it at the same time, a lady who has endometriosis. And she was, you know, at a 9 or 10, she was like, and he's falling on the ground. And they asked him after they did it, is this going to change the way that you treat patients who come in with these symptoms? And he said, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Unless we put electrodes on your nuts, you're not going to know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's sad.
And you're not going to be
scary, and it's worse for people of color.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, somebody made a something on social media where they were like, do you know how much scarier it is to be a Black woman giving birth? Like, it was a much higher rate of death for women, Black women giving birth than police officers dying during work or firefighters or any of these like really, really high risk jobs. It was like 35% more for a Black woman just having a baby.
Well, and I saw a politician talking about maternal mortality in Louisiana. So Louisiana has the highest maternal mortality rate, and 39 out of every 100,000 mothers in Louisiana. Like that's bad. Like that's Jane Austen bad, right? And a politician being asked about it said, well, that's only because of all the Black mothers. If you take the Black mothers out, our statistic is not that bad. How couldn't you take the Black mothers out?
Why would you take Black women out?
What he's saying is if you just limit it to normal women, rates are not that bad. The last medical thing I have is heart disease, the number one killer of women in America, because doctors are not familiar with the signs of heart attack in women. Like women are 50% more like misdiagnosed out of our heart after a heart attack for it being indigestion, period pains, in your head. And that's killing women, guys. It's fun. I want to take this opportunity to say, if anybody is curious, a lot of my statistics and facts are from the book Invisible Women, Data Bias in a World Designed for Men by Caroline Criado-Perez. It's very, very good.
Are there tear stains on the pages?
There are tear stains on the pages.
This book was actually a Christmas gift that I gave Virginia.
Christmas gift from my sister to me.
Sister love, right there.
That I really enjoyed. So, Michelle, what are your final thoughts as we wrap up hidden misogyny?
Well, I mean, obviously everybody has a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. Right. And that part of why I wanted to come talk about it is because I have a lot of work to do in my little corner, what I can affect. Like that's a lot of stuff I don't think I can do a whole lot about, but I can monitor my own mean, nasty thoughts that I give to myself that aren't even mine and trying to clean it up there. And I just want to normalize that trying to work on this in a relationship is even harder than normal relationship work. And I am grateful that my husband is available to be beat up on a regular basis while we work through it.
Virginia, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, a lot of what Michelle says resonates, that even men who think that they're good men, or like even men who think that they're, like if you ask them, they'll think that they're feminists, but they don't recognize these big biases that we just carry around. And you have to look at it and recognize it, or else it's not going to change. Like a little slice out of my life, comedy advice that I've received as a woman is very different. Like, you got to smile all the time to let people know you're nice and you're friendly. I'm not nice or friendly. I'm the opposite of those things.
I'm neither of those things.
I have no interest in being those things. But the expectations for women on stage are a lot different. But I think that you're right in that it's going to take a lot of self-reflection and awareness for all people to make any headway at all. Laura, what are your thoughts?
Well, you just reminded me of when I was working in food service, and people, usually men, would approach me and say, don't you just smile more? My response was, hey, I'm making $7 an hour, working a cash register, making burgers all day. I don't need to smile for that. So, because, I think when I'm not smiling, my face looks kind of downturned.
Resting therapist face.
Sad face. But anyway, my final thoughts are as a society, we all have to unpack all of our biases. Yeah. This is one corner of that, but I think that we're always doing it all of the time. And it just sucks. And we need to do better, and we need to fight for each other. And we need to think about more than just this like tunnel vision of just my experience and who I am and what I'm thinking about.
Well, thank you for joining us, Michelle. Where can people find you online should they want to?
Well, I think Googling Michelle Bohls, 2 L's in Michelle, Michelle, and last name B as in boy, OHL, S as in Sam.
So MichelleBohls.com. Also, Michelle has an exciting new TikTok account. What is that called?
It's called Relational Paradigm with M, but that's a long story.
Okay.
Just look up Relational Paradigm, and if you see a beautiful blonde lady, you're going to know you're in the right spot. Virginia, where can people find you on the social meds?
Thanks so much. Everything on the computer is tied to the word Badinia, Badinia. That's my website, my TikTok, my Instagram, my everything. I want to thank everybody who has left a nice comment and reviewed My Sister's a Therapist. We are coming up on 100 reviews cross-platform.
What?
That's fantastic. We love you. Thank you so much. Laura, where can people find you online?
Well, they can write to me at mysistersatherapist.com. The email address is hello@mysistersatherapist.com, or they can reach me on my website, lauraryan.org, or they can find me on my TikTok. I am Laura Ryan.
Well, wonderful.
Michelle, it has been a delight. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Way fun. I learned so much about theater.
More than you. Well, it's a show. It's a podcast about therapy, but we sure do talk about theater, regional theater.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.